Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to a story about my uncle. Let's continue. So in the last level we avoided as a boss. We had to do a stealth mission, a giant worm with a glowing eyeball, and you could only move when his eyeball was closed, which opens up the door pretty terribly to the idea that we might wow, why is it getting darker at certain angles? Like, you can certainly see how ray tracing, which is obviously non-existent in a game like this, would definitely improve games like this instead of what is probably a light map that seems oddly misprogrammed because it seems to get dimmer. I did turn up the brightness, and that's great and all, but this really feels like what they've done is they've intentionally increased the lightness of areas behind you in general, just so that you will get directed to go that way. And that kind of makes sense. If you're like 90 degrees off, you go, well, should I go this way that's darker, or should I go this way that's brighter? But then directly onward, it doesn't really work. Yep. It does open up the door, though, as I was saying, to all the levels going forward being stealth
Another one.
levels.
One says, "Welcome home."
Right, and then again, you can't see anything at all through this hallway because of this weird effect. Is there an option perhaps that I have set wrong? Um, Not as far as you could tell. Like, you turn off MSAA, you turn down texture quality, turn down detail to low. That's seemingly the only thing that might change anything. Like, hmm. But I think the idea here is that we're going to now escape outside the cave into a open world.
This is it. This is where the Strays built their village. And what a beautiful place they chose. Just look at the sky. It is so big.
So this entire cave, I guess we've been in up until this point, has just been a uh, cave inside of a giant floating mountain, or maybe, well, some of these mountains are floating. I'm not sure all of them are. They might be attached. And we're now going to a new village. It definitely feels like this could not be on the same planet as Earth. And remember, we were shown a map of Earth earlier. Like, I can't even figure out where I'm supposed to go. Here, either I was supposed to grab onto interesting. It's not letting me run backwards either. So either we're supposed to make a long run jump. That was
It was
more.
a relief to finally feel the sun on my face and a gentle breeze in my hair. After all these caves, just breathing fresh air again was enough to clear my mind of any doubts I might have had about this strange journey so far.
So you have what seems like better technology. Apparently, I was supposed to do something like that. And now I'll fall to my death. Here we have what seems like less of just people building things out of junk as opposed to people building things in reality out of just regular stuff. Although there's a lot of wood here and not a lot of trees. See, we can see these little red trees, but you would need quite a lot of it. And in all fairness, the only reason that that the world works the way it does in the real world is that there's just a massive forests that grow relatively fast. It's nice to have new environments, although in all fairness, this once again mostly could be asset flipped content, but I wouldn't call this an asset flip game. It's they took an element, they properly placed it, they thought about the placement, they didn't throw it in haphazardly and uncaringly. Here you have a bone pickaxe, which implies that there are some animals, which we've only seen that one giant worm. And here we have like a full masonry built tower, brick built tower. I don't know how you would do that. And they're apparently mining up crystals and using crystals as some kind of magnetic force. So it seems to strike me that your uncle very possibly just abandoned the frog people in favor of the strays, who had better technology. Let's not fall off the edge. There's enough room here that you could easily do that. Okay. Yeah, actually, it probably would have been fairly easy just to do that also. Okay. So 2 launch locations to move forward. Either the top of this tower, which we're apparently not getting into, or somewhere else. You don't really need to jump anywhere on some of this. You can just take it nice and easy. There is a somewhat lack of breadcrumbing, however, when you get to some of these areas where it's not... I feel like I'm repeating myself, and I probably am. But it's not really the greatest about making sure you know where you're supposed to go. I feel like I should just jump that way, but I don't think that's what they want, because we've never really had that work that way. And in that case, it wasn't just a jump, it was a long running jump. They're bending over backwards to make the long running jump a thing when it really shouldn't have been. It should just be the default jump that everybody makes. And here you have like a full, like, carpentry built building. Like, that says quite a lot. Although a lot of this also still kind of screams that either there are some kind of flying creatures that the frogs evolve into, or a completely different species, or they just have a level of jumping ability and accuracy that is incredibly good, even from birth. Like, because you really cannot live in a world like this if all your children constantly are at risk of falling off the... I almost overshot that. If they're at the constant risk of falling off the edge and dying. And now that we have like 3 pulls, it's fairly easy now to pull yourself to the location you need to go, which is not something that you see in Goat Simulator. At least I've never seen a Goat Simulator player. Having not played the game myself, I've never seen anyone manage to pull off 2 or 3 flings. Oh man. Fairly premature trick there. They seemingly want me to skip something because it doesn't seem like they want me to jump at this far angle. So let's jump forward and aim for this little rock here, I guess. One, two, three. You also don't really get a benefit in speed when you pull yourself downward. Wow. The angles on these flings are still very odd. We now have the opportunity to see more color and more imagery, which this is going to kind of highlight just how ugly the cave system was. Like you're not going to be able to really get around that idea.
Along my journey I had seen many pieces of floating rock, but here they were much bigger. Some were big enough to fit whole villages. How was this possible? Maybe it had to do with the crystals that seemed to be everywhere. It's a sci-fi trope, certainly, to have floating buildings, floating cities, but it's really not that helpful to have anything floating in the real world. It might make sense to have a floating platform if you are trying to escape the atmosphere and go into space. But everything else has that danger of a fall risk that just doesn't make it worthwhile. Of course, floating might save you from earthquakes, so that you could have a benefit there, and it might allow you to create multi-layered cities. But looks like we're going to see even increased technology. Although we saw a major technology when we saw a Zeppelin. It feels like I'm supposed to go here and here and there, because this way feels like nothing. Where was our last checkpoint? We're not gonna ruin everything here. Charge up, run, fling. Fling yourself up this way. Fling yourself up this way. Am I supposed to get on these rocks? Let's just fling ourselves forward. It seems like it always wants us to go forward. See, yeah. I think I need to get myself on top of that platform. And then the next step. Yeah. Is there an actual cave in here? Yes, there is. And very possible that there's collectibles we're missing. That feels like that's kind of fairly obvious. Let's see. legends were true. The stray civilization was younger than the village. Yet, they were making great progress. They invented crystal-powered machines, produced their own fabrics, and built houses out of bricks and stone. It was like a civilization was forming before my eyes.
Remember that they claim that the uncle had... I don't think I'm going to be able to make all that. They claim that the uncle had specifically been here since the first of the frog people were born, which does not really make sense. Yeah, it really does not make sense at all. So I think it's probably the opposite. You kind of have to assume it is the opposite. And so I'm going to have to fling myself here and then hope that there's enough just slowed down time, which I feel like time probably does slow down just slightly to catch one, but it doesn't particularly have to be just that one. I think any of them would be fine. Alright. This is gonna get me up. And I needed to have hit the rock and I accidentally hit the swinging. Come on. So I'm holding on to the trigger now. I've got one shot after this, which is there, and hope that that hits the ground. Yeah, they have even like wooden barriers. Feel like there's probably something down that way. Probably should find a checkpoint first, though. Yeah, it does feel like, though, that a lot of this animation is not really serving anything well. And that's probably true for a lot of assets that get sold and made, is that there's a lot of background stuff like benches and fences that make sense. You're always going to want some variety there. These benches in particular look like they're more made out of plants than milled wood. But having a bench in your game is highly unlikely to improve the actual core gameplay element of a game. And I feel like a lot of these polishes could have been better spent giving us something slightly different to do than just fling ourselves. Mirror's Edge had that element, certainly, in which you were parkouring and hand-to-hand combat and shooting people with guns. And while those elements weren't particularly good, they made things work differently. They made the game play a little bit differently than just the standard running and jumping. And they at least gave you some danger. And so my suggestion for a game like this would be to have either some enemies on the edges, kind of acting as invisible barriers, with a few enemies in the middle, flying bee-like creatures, or an archer or sniper or something, bow and arrow, launchers, something somehow. Or you put a lot more collectibles in the game, that wouldn't hurt either. Let's see what this says.
How come they didn't use crystals in the village like that? Didn't they have any?
They did have a few, but never used them. The villagers thought the crystals were sacred, that they were the source of life and shouldn't be fiddled with.
Wait, didn't Fred use them?
For his power cores, yes. I guess he was an exception. The strays, on the other hand, they mined crystals and used them for all sorts of machinery and decorations. They praised them too, just in another way.
This is kind of like the oil argument, and you could very easily make an argument that in the real world, the creation and collection of petroleum oil and the use of it has caused a lot of terrible things to happen to the environment and the world in general and just people in general. But also, there is some improvements, certainly, that were on balance beneficial. So it would have been nice if in the real world, say, the automobile in particular had not been invented, and yet the gas diesel generator still existed. And frankly, you could have had a diesel generator or a generator that burned some other kind of safer chemical. This is just a broken thing. Just nothing there. It's just feels like this should be hanging over the edge a little bit more so you could see it. It doesn't even look like it's fallen off of anything. It seems like it's perhaps in production. So yeah, we might find out in this story that the crystals being mined is destroying or damaging this planet. But on the other hand, you have creatures that apparently evolve very fast and have a very limited lifespan, so they probably would never let go of such power, particularly when there's not massive reasons being shown. Like, people would tend to want to wait until it's too late to even consider something, not using something. Of course, there's always a, like, let's get back to nature mentality that's an appealing idea that doesn't really equate to reality. Not all progress is bad, only some of it.
Hey, let's play a game. I bet that you can't get through this part without using the grapple device.
Alright, so she wants me to take a chance and see if we can get through this whole part without using the grapple device. Seems it would be a question, I guess, about just how much vertical height you can get while getting horizontal momentum also, because like there's no higher point, so if I suck that up and run that way and jump that way, it just shoots me up. If I push backwards, yeah. So you'd have to be right about here and then hope that you could air brake enough that direction. I don't think that's realistic. I mean, what does it matter? Where's our checkpoint? Right there? Alright. Fly that way. Up here. Even the game itself has come to recognize that it's bored with the way this game plays, and feel like this is probably something that's going to give me an achievement. But also it seems like it feels like it's something that you could easily ignore and not do. I wouldn't be surprised if you got an achievement for ignoring her. And see, I overjump as much as I underjump. Feels like there should be a adjustment for that alone. So we don't need to get on the rocks. Wonder if this is just straight up jump upward. I think it might be. Yeah, it is. It's just trying to teach you that you really can just jump upward. I think regardless. See, this last part's the part that's gonna kind of stink. Kind of feels like we might also be approaching the end of the game. And if they're trying to encourage us to do sillier things. Is it really a long jump all the way that way? Or is it a long jump this way? There we go. There we go. Here we have another area. It's nicely designed, but doesn't really mean anything. Okay. Kind of want a checkpoint. I'm not sure where they want me to go next. I think the last part of this is either to long jump this way or long jump that way and hope that we have a arcing long jump that would land us on that section. Once we get to that point, there's no more playing around though. Nope, it was not that. We might have been able to get to where we were. Where are we? And that reset us all the way back up here, didn't it? I don't know if this was really worth it to try all this. Let's see. Yeah, it would be just a straight swing pretty much to get to that point. So this is a whole section where they've intentionally prompted you to play the game differently, because otherwise, as the player, I imagine most people would have simply finished the level fairly easily and just run through this whole section. Is there a middle ground section I'm missing? Hmm. See, this is where it gets really weird. Because it's stopped showing a viable path at all. Right, so we want to land there. I don't think you just get there. Could we get there from where we're standing? How much horizontal movement does one have when vertical? Should I be down this way? Wow, you do have enough movement. Well then, let's go this way. Is this a long jump? Again? Or am I supposed to run and long jump here? Or am I supposed to just shoot up? Everything here has been mostly non-long jumps. Should I get a little bit more verticality? Suppose it's worth mentioning I am still using the power jumping almost always. There we go.
Told you you couldn't do it.
Alright, so did that fail me? Yeah, I'm not sure. See, this first jump probably is intentionally designed just so you get the edge, so that you can realize how far you actually can jump in this game, and just try to give you that mental imagery of what the world really is like, and how far you can actually move. Which I'm still not sure that the game isn't intentionally kind of cheating some of that. It does kind of feel like sometimes the game will straight up shoot you vertically a lot higher than it would normally. Nope. What I need to do is figure out if I get that same prompt again, if I use the grapple. Because if I get the same prompts, then we know we're given multiple options. But if the frog girl on your back, which I've forgotten her name, was it Maven or something? Yeah. If she doesn't say anything, then that might indicate that you literally had only one chance to do this, and if you use the grapple at all, even dying after that, you still would lose. Alright, is there possibly a different location we're supposed to be trying to reach? I don't think so.
Told you you couldn't do it.
So that did prompt us. And I imagine there might be some speedrunners out there that have bothered to play this game and could get really, really good at this flinging mechanic and everything. But I've actually never even seen a speedrun of this game, so it's not like it's incredibly well received, even as a game that so obviously wanted to be a speedrun game. Probably because the mechanics here don't open up for any kind of glitchy gameplay. I bet there's only really a way to play this as a glitchless playthrough, which probably doesn't severely reduce the playtime compared to just a regular player's playtime, which doesn't make it a particularly interesting video to put on one of the many speedrunning charity events that happen over the several different months of the year. Am I looking at the right rock? Yes, I am. Okay. Like, I don't think I can make that jump the way they're implying I should make it. But I also don't know if I'm getting the long jump right. There we go. At this point, I desperately would need a checkpoint. Come on, game. How much further can you go with this? Like, I can fling myself up over there, sure. I feel like I was really close there. But boy, am I spending extra time doing this section. And inherently, the developers of the game failed to put something like this in any of the other levels. So if this was the concept that there would be several different little achievement style challenges, do this way, do this that way type goals, that would have been fine. We've certainly seen that in other games where I'm not 100% sure how I made it. You just gotta be real careful to make sure you're actually running, I think. Yeah, and at the core of it, you're still having that same situation where the game is loving to kick you in the nards. Like, it totally isn't giving you a little bit of help or saying, hey, close enough. It's letting you smack your face right into the ledge of these platforms and potentially die. And I guess perhaps this is a relatively easy section But it's not that easy if I was going to try and skip it completely. What this feels like is that there should just be a long wooden bridge, which would be visually different, that would you could just walk on, and then the challenge would come. Like, you could either take the bridge and walk and admit defeat, or you can not use the bridge and... Alright. Am I supposed to perhaps land on this square? Like, that square doesn't seem like it's anywhere... am I supposed to perhaps land on that square? Or am I supposed to fling myself? Looks like you possibly, had I not been fighting it so much, could potentially just fling yourself all the way from that spot. Would it really have killed them, though, to give me one checkpoint throughout this whole process? Like, there's no way without a lot more checkpoints that I feel like I'd ever feel confident enough in my ability to potentially just play the game fluidly. Like, I'll probably feel confident enough in my ability right as the game ends to get, like, what I just did there even was kind of nerve-wracking. Okay.
Told you you couldn't do it.
This really feels like, if this is an achievement, that it's been put in here to particularly screw out players who have been playing a very different experience up until this point. So it's not like the game really has been training us to do a whole bunch of jumping. There was no section before this where you were forbidden from using the crystals, or didn't really have them. You got them extremely early in the game, and this definitely feels like something that probably is an odd mix between being too difficult a challenge to have at the beginning of the game and too easy of a challenge if you use the flinging ability. But they could have potentially had the machine be a little bit broken, as it were. And if that was the case, then it could sometimes flicker out on you. Right, so either I jump halfway through here and land on that platform, or I go the full length and hope I can make it all the way over. Do I even have the angles right? Nope. Yeah, that's definitely a problem. There should be like some kind of floating balloon item on above each island. You could probably fairly easy come back into this whole section also. If I tried to fling myself that way, or like, almost certainly you're not going to land on that. Could I make it if I have a little bit more height, or was just a little bit closer? Yeah, it just doesn't feel like that is high enough. Hmm. Okay, well, we've got a long run here. My guess is you're supposed to long run. Long run and jump. And head that way.
Told you you couldn't do it.
And she's right. I can't do it. Like, not in a reasonable amount of time. We've shown that. It's been 50 minutes, and every other level, it's been 45 minutes. Every other level has been like a fairly easy to defeat in 45-minute experience. There we go. And it seems to me like you probably, had you made it to this point, that would have been where you would have gotten the challenge. Or the achievement. Because at this point, there's no way you're going to be able to fling yourself. Let's see. Start from last checkpoint, confirm. Yep. You start from last checkpoint, confirm. So yeah, if you were going to come back and get through this, you would have had to, you're going to have to work your way to that one section to get that one achievement, and it's possible there's some other achievements out there. Hmm. Yeah, at this point, seems unreasonable. So I fling myself that way, and then what? Seems like there might be a floating rock here. Okay. That's one. That's two.
Oh,
And that's three.
what's that? The boots. Look. Couldn't you wear those? Upgrade your suit.
Upgrade your
They
suit.
look pretty powerful, right?
What boots? This game does this, has done this like 3 different times where it doesn't take control of your vision, it doesn't really point you in a direction, and then they're talking about something, or some character is talking and you just don't know who or where they're talking about. Let's see. So we're getting upgraded boots, which, what, doubles our jumps ability? So you now know why that challenge existed.
With this addition, the suit felt at least 20% cooler.
That's kind of funny.
This is awesome!
So you have
It was awesome.
some kind
Don't know
of
how to describe
rocket
the
boots.
feeling of bursting through the air like a bullet, so fast that my eyes watered and my belly was full of butterflies. Never fully in control, but still feeling like the coolest kid in the universe. I guess I just described it, didn't I?
So you've got some kind of rocket boots that I don't think we're going to have a great experience using, frankly. I think the physics are going to be very, very wonky here. Because it doesn't feel like we're going to be able to just fly by the looks of it infinitely. It feels like what we're going to do is instead get bursts of movement and then crash into something. You probably have to use the flinging ability more than you would realize to save ourselves. Okay. Finding a decent amount of places to get stuck. Also. Alright, let's just hit the edge. Where are we? Jump over here. And then this really is a, like, clearly what they thought you were going to do on this is probably just use the jumps. And these would be just minute jumps with the A button instead of using the power jump to short circuit all of that. But all that really is going to cause is a situation where you're just going to look for some clear passage, and from that clear passage you're going to fling yourself up as high as possible. Here we have some flowers, which we haven't been seeing a lot of flowers in the tin cans. Are we literally supposed to go this way? I mean, I see one rock that way and one thing that way. I'm gonna land here. Pull myself here. This, I don't know if this really was supposed to be the direction we could go, or if they've simply just opened up a passageway now where we can go in multiple directions. I'm kind of glad that the boots didn't just increase my distance one could jump. Because that would be fairly annoying. Are we really supposed to go in that direction? Because that doesn't look like anything. Well, just clip through a rock, why don't you? Might as well just fall to your doom too. The odds of you getting around an edge is, with 3 tries, is too low. We can see in the far distance a tower. So I think there might be some truth to the idea that this, that's far too easy to double jump to and tap that A button. Is there something over here? Alright, how does this work if we were to just fling ourselves? Come on, rock. I actually don't know where to go. Like, I think they've intentionally put this in a place where You're not supposed to really know the direction you're supposed to be able to go. Get that checkpoint. And here we have what looks like an axe in a chair in a kind of boarded up area, which kind of damaged area. So I don't know if this is, perhaps we're going to start seeing that their society collapsed on itself and they started infighting, or if that's just a slightly different tower. We do see these flags, which flags do tend to indicate tribalism, which does tend to indicate conflict. There's a carrot just on the ground. Carrots and tomatoes being a great example of just art assets that aren't really adding much to the story, other than explaining how they live without any apparent animals or source of liquid. Which, like, yeah. One has to assume that there's just a massive amount of either humidity and moisture in the air and rain that happens, or a massive amount of ocean that the frog people can actually reach and get back up from. Interesting. So on top of the time-consuming challenge, this level's not really done, and it does seem to me like we are probably working ourselves up towards a different kind of experience. I don't think you can rocket yourself twice. So you can see how I'm getting a little bit wobblier as far as my attempts here. I must be missing something, because there's just a lot of different room there. Fling. Fling. Come on and fling. And goodness. Every single one of these jumps is like that, though. It's just like you barely are making them, and it's just like, well, I'm really glad I made that, because I don't think I would have been able to survive any other way. And maybe this is the case for skipping the first rock and hoping that reach further by activating the boost later and aim high above the platform. So it's in the first of its case for this game, it's straight up telling me you're not doing this right. I don't know how I got past that first rock. First time. Or the second time. Okay. So. Long jump, jump. Do that. Do that. Do that. Aim high. And maybe we can get just the ledge there. Yeah, you got a big problem with that concept though. You cannot aim high. It's just not doable. Like, you can't aim high and look at where you're going, so you're going to have to swing by blind faith alone. To reach it. You're going to have to get the arc perfectly right. It would be so easy if you could skip a single. Alright. If you could skip a single rock, then maybe that would help. So maybe you need to skip the last rock. That's not gonna work. Is there possibly a trick here where there's another whole platform? This game is just such a kick in the balls. I don't know why they would want to do this. Like, this only seems like this is going to irritate people. It only feels like this is going to alienate part of your player base. One, two, three. Oh, you do have to really wait really late on that, don't you?
I'd love to do stuff like this with crystals. Just think of the possibilities. Whole machines are powered by them. I almost can't believe it.
Like, inherently in the story, we're gonna potentially find out that the crystals are the eggs or the souls of the creatures that of the frog people, and this is a true desecration of them. But either that happens or you just have Maven, well, I'll just call her Maven even if that isn't really her name, take this crystal technology and use it for to improve the lives of her people and potentially reunite the... I have no idea where I'm even supposed to be going. There's no telling, like, no clue where that third element was supposed to be. I think that's it. I think they want me to wrap all the way around this mountain. We're definitely having variations on a theme here. Oh man, I would have made that had I just held on to the trigger. Well, that deserves an award for the worst fall. I am gonna take that victory, even though that's not what they really intended for you to do. I'm gonna take that and say that's a winning strategy for me. I don't hear any sound effects of a collector. We're just going super, super long now because of the challenge. Hmm. Hmm. I want to fall to my death. Come on, fling myself up here. Okay, where next? Here? Or over there? I don't think we make it over there. We kind of need a checkpoint. And fling. That was not fair. It lost. It bumped me. And because of that, I lost. Nope. Wait a minute. Why do I have another thing? How did I refill? Interesting. If you hang around long enough, maybe they refill? I don't think so. I think what happened here is a case of my feet accidentally hitting the bent-in windmills, which seem to be more moving platforms than windmills. And when my feet hit those windmills, it decided to refill my energy. And so it kind of cheated for me, which in all fairness, I will take that any day, considering how just terrible the experience can be. Let's see. Pull ourselves that way.
We hadn't seen any people around yet, but ahead of us lay what looked like a proper town. The strays from Maddie's stories. I could imagine how she must have longed to meet
He
them
does
all her life.
talk like he's a Native
And now,
American.
here they were.
This kind of feels like this might literally just be the plight of the Native American people being hidden. I don't know. I don't know which way to go here. Am I supposed to fling myself around and around and around, or am I supposed to go that way? Alright, that got me a checkpoint by once again being very awkward. And some of these islands are now getting fairly repetitive looking. Unless I'm gonna hit the rock. Let's see. Let's reset there. Try and figure out what the goal here was. Up and late, and see if maybe we can catch the ledge there. That's what we're supposed to do. And I feel like maybe we've hit a point where they're just not giving us the abrupt, discrete chapter endings. But I don't know. I think more than likely we probably will get a discrete chapter ending after this next jump. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. If there was a way to potentially skip one of these rocks, I could probably pull this off. So if I could get close enough to be able to hit that rock, which I don't think I can, I could potentially be running when I fling myself that way. I can be potentially there. And forward momentum perhaps more than diagonal momentum.
Cool.
Wow.
Those must be the strays. I want to greet these people myself. Let me off.
So I barely got the edge there. That seems really, really potentially annoying. This hits the start button too. Yeah, we're still in the same level. And here we have, from the distance.
Hi guys, I'm Maddie from the village, and this is my friend. He's looking for Fred.
Amazing. I've never seen anyone from inside the caves before.
They speak the
My
same
name is
language.
This is Ingo, and that's
They seem to be
Welcome to
better-
Starhaven, lads.
better
So,
clothed.
What's it like in the village?
Village is okay, but not like this place.
Again, just
We
control
don't have
the
machines
imagery.
and crystals. We're forbidden from using them.
Truly. The crystals are our main source of power. The life in the village must be primitive. Or should I say, simple.
Yeah, well, it's not so bad. I've actually made some secret experiments on crystals.
You can see how
myself,
she's
like this
grayer
lamp.
than any of the other people.
You made that? Awesome. I couldn't do that even if someone told me how.
And with no prior knowledge of how to use them, you are a gifted young lady. I believe we shall find many things to talk about.
Actually, I don't know if I can stay that long. Me and my friend are looking for Fred. Have you seen him?
Sure. The old man passed through here a few days ago.
We taught him how to harness crystal energy. He was headed down to the core of the mountains.
You'd have to pass through the ice cave to get there, though. So I ain't following.
There is a zeppelin headed for the ice cave. It docks a short distance from here. Just follow the path towards the mountain, and you won't miss it.
Yeah, good luck.
Thanks. Bye, you guys.
So we know at least the lifespan of these characters do seem to be a few days, or whatever they refer to as a few days. You have people with apparently parachutes on, so either they're base jumping or it's just standard procedure. Although these guys don't have parachutes, so there isn't that much. Maybe they just have all backpacks on to show that they're more evolved.
Over here.
And here again we are like, hey, over here. And hey, what if I want to just look at the dumb game and enjoy the visuals for a second? Can you not scream hey in that case?
How old was Maddie when you met her?
I don't know,
Maddie.
but it felt like she was about my age.
Did you like her?
Yes, she was friendly and funny.
No, did you like her? Was she cute?
Well, she was cute, but I was too young to think about that.
Did you have a romantic time all by yourselves?
No, she wasn't even human.
Well, that doesn't rule it out. I have a friend that says she wants to marry a vampire.
Well, that's, good for her. Let's get back
See,
to
the daughter in this story, she sounds like a British voice actor. And then the father sounds like a Native American voice actor. He talks kind of like a Native American. So, like, and I'm in the like locked out mode, so I don't have any abilities, so I can't jump. So unless I can walk to where this meter reading is, I may not be able to actually collect it. I may have to come back here on a second attempt. It's somewhere over here. But I think it's like high up on top of this tower. And there's no way up. So here she is. Alright, so we get her back on her
Those
back.
people were so nice. They didn't think we were strange at all, though we came all the way from the village. They were helpful, and they were impressed by something I had done. I wish more people in the village were like that.
Kind of sounds like it's down that direction. It doesn't really feel like it's down this direction. See how it's getting quieter? It's almost as if it's down here. Because it is. Alright. There's a... If you're really, really good, I think you can kind of fling yourself backwards and then forwards on a power jump. I don't think that's intentionally what they want you to do, though. And I guess what we're going for here is just more gameplay. Like you would think they would either make it really easy or not give us any challenge at all if this was supposed to be the end of the level. And I guess in all fairness, this really isn't a challenge at all if you're just gonna fling yourself this way. It almost feels like at this point there would have been another challenge had you done the first challenge. So am I supposed to fling myself this way? I don't even know if I'm really going the right direction at all. It's getting extremely repetitive. I guess the glowing lights are supposed to be the breadcrumbs, but they don't work. There's too many glowing things, too many glowing blue things in general. It would be weird to see if there was a third village, third group of people. But then it also would be fairly weird if we started to see like enemies this late in the game. So I am not sure what we're really expecting to experience.
Maddie was silent for a while. It seemed like she was thinking hard on something.
You have two characters speaking a different language. Probably a gibberish in reality. We have a boat. Interesting. So they would only build a boat with like a rounded base if at some point there is some water it goes in. There's no reason to build a boat to that schematic if it just flies in the air the whole time. You could easily make more of a rounded basket type device or just a square. Let's see. Almost made it there. And we're almost done. Where was I? Where was I going? This way. Almost started to turn the other direction. Alright. And if this gives me a little bit of trouble, then I could potentially try and cheat my way through this whole thing. Alright, we've got one more to fling yourself with. And I hit the rock. Darn it. Like, I could try and land my feet. Honestly, though, if I tried the feet landing trick, I don't know if that's a guaranteed victory always. Because while that worked for me accidentally once, I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of fails more often than it actually
Grab a hold
does.
of that crate.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that would have been the end of it. We just getting on that boat, or are we getting on this boat here? Seems like there's a couple of them available to you, which almost implies that there's a potential open world choose your own adventure experience. So you kind of see why these platforms exist now, and that everybody uses these zeppelins. There we go. Gonna have
Good day. Here's a boat to Ice Cave. Though I'd take the other one if I were you. That one goes back to the outpost.
Wait a minute. I was thinking. I don't know if I should go with you.
Yeah,
I mean, I want
that
to, but
figured that she's
I
gonna
also
stay.
want to, well, stay here. Maybe it's strange, but I
Hmm.
just feel like these people liked me and accepted me for who I am.
Yeah, for
Kinda like
through
you.
one
I want
conversation.
to be with you too, and help you find Fred. I don't know what I want the most.
I told Madeline that I would accept whatever choice she made.
I just never thought about it until now that maybe it wasn't Fred I was looking for when I came with you.
This
Maybe
is
I
like
was just
way
looking
too
for a
much
way
character
out,
development and
somewhere
story
to be
development
free.
for what
And I know
really
that
has only
if
been
anyone can find Fred, it's
20
you.
minutes for her.
If you meet him, when you meet him, tell him to come see me, okay?
I promised.
Thank you. I'm glad I met you. And it won't be the same without you around. Goodbye, friend.
I said goodbye to Maddie, and I had a feeling that this was the last time I'd see her.
Here's where
And
you
even
could
in
do
this
like
sad
a
moment, I was happy for her.
cutscene or a hug
She had found
animation.
a place where she belonged.
You kind of know that if this story is really true, which it probably isn't, the almost seems like you might have an opportunity for like a different ending if you just went on the boat with her and stayed with her. Of course, this is a story you're telling to your daughter, so. Well, I did not expect that to actually start moving. Interesting. Wow, and since it's moving, if I jump up, it flings me backwards. Well, I don't want to hit a checkpoint. And this would be funny if this gave me an achievement. But certainly this isn't how you want to actually end the game either. It's to just ride on a boat and have nothing potentially happen. Yeah. Like if there was going to be a credit sequence or a conversation here. Yeah. Let's go ahead and restart from last checkpoint. It didn't seem like that got me an achievement or anything.
There was a dampness in the air that reminded me of the hot summer nights back home. But as the sun was setting, I could feel the chill creeping up on me.
What's he
And the
smoking?
path we were traveling on seemed to lead us into a second ice age. Winter was coming.
Winter was coming, which that's a phrase you can never use now that the Song of Fire and Ice book series happens. And then you just have an abrupt jump. We are just in the middle of nowhere, which definitely tells you that there were sections of this game that were not finished when you have these big jumps. Yeah, it's been an hour and 30 minutes, so I'm not going to stretch it. We also are not, I think, likely to unlock too much more. We can find 2 more collectibles and get like goat mode. But that's pretty much all it's going to be, frankly. I feel like we probably also are close to the end of the game. There could be a level or 2 in the ice caves, but then we kind of need to run into Fred and we need to wrap it up. With the rocket boots, I don't want to see a lot of evolution in that flinging mechanism, but I don't know what I really do want because I just don't like any of the movement mechanisms. And inherently, this was the problem with Bionic Commando, even the original Bionic Commando, on top of the remake, and just a lot of games over the decades in which video games have been developed, is the movement mechanics just don't make sense, just don't play well. Even things like Super Mario Bros. 1, were movement mechanics that could have been improved upon and were improved upon until we got to the point where we are now, where we have relatively decent movement mechanics for almost every game, which makes a game like this certainly stand out. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.